Turtle poop in the butt, goat fart poops. I'm testing a theory that no one pays attention to the first, 3 minutes of these. That's what I don't know. I thought about that. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but give us your feedback. Are you into turtle, goats, and fart poops? However, I don't know exactly. Oh, that's
What just
great.
happened? What just happened?
Yeah.
Did I not get the memo? Is this sitting in my email somewhere that you were going to do this?
No.
Don't ask me.
Top of my head. This is why I usually have things written down. So, guys, welcome to the show.
Show can't get any worse. It can't get any worse from here. We could only go up.
It's best if you hit rock bottom right away, and then.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the point.
Yeah.
You have no expectations.
It was a grand scheme thing there. That bit.
Oh my God.
We have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. We have a guest who's going to be coming on in a few minutes, hopefully as soon as he's done husbandrying. And I think it's gonna be a really good episode. We've had a lot of good episodes recently, so this should only continue that trend, I think. How are you guys doing? What's going on?
Good.
Doing well. Not as optimistic as you are, but doing well.
That's
close,
fair.
but
That's
not,
fair.
Not quite as not quite there. I'm feeling
Not
I'm feeling
quite
a
as
little
yet?
inadequate. Not quite as optimistic as you are yet, especially after that little intro you just pulled out of nowhere.
Gotcha.
Feeling a little.
I thought you said not quite as yet.
No, that's not right. And then we just kept going down.
Yeah.
Okay. We wanted to talk to you first about your blog, right? Tony had a new blog post come out today on the Turtle Room, and Tony, why don't you explain a little bit about how it went?
I wrote an article that was shared today via the Turtle Room blog. There it is. Thank you, Steve, for putting that up. And John, why don't you tell me what you thought of it?
It was really interesting. It was really bad.
He hasn't got the reason why I ask and the reason why he laughs is because I know that he didn't get a chance to read it because I just told him like 10 minutes ago that we released it today. So that's all I was getting.
And that harkened back to an experience that you just had very recently where someone asked you something that you weren't prepared to answer?
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
Okay, all right. So, I was on my way to a basketball game. I didn't even know what you were getting at first, so it took me a second. So I was on my way to a basketball game that I was playing in, an old man's league, which is all I do now. It's the best I got. But anyway, I'm fueling up my car. It's a high performance machine, so I had to fill it with premium. And I'm there at the pump, and out of nowhere, there's this bright white light in my face. What the heck is this? I wasn't sure if I was being abducted by aliens. I didn't know what was going on. It turns out it's a news crew that was recording people at the pumps, and I immediately, no, please go to someone else. I have a hoodie on, a backwards baseball cap. I look like a complete thug. I'm on my way to the basketball game, remember. And the guy basically talks me into it and bullies me into it. So I reluctantly am standing there still and not running away. Well, mostly because I'm pumping gas at the time too. Where am I going to go? And so then he asked me his question. And he says, so there's been some threats made here in Manchester. I was in Manchester, Connecticut. Here in Manchester by Islamic terrorist groups. And what do you think? I mean, normally, when this stuff happens across the globe, it's one thing, but, to have it happen here, pretty sobering. I said, oh, no, I'm not talking to you about this right now. No. If you know me at all, I'm the worst person to ask about this sort of thing. It's just so ridiculous because I constantly watch the news and make fun of the people that end up getting interviewed because they're on there for about 2 seconds, and they always manage to sound stupid in 2 seconds. You can't make yourself sound smart.
What did you say? What was your response, your 2 seconds?
Well, I told him, I told him again, there is no way, I'm the worst person to ask. the worst. And so basically he just continued to push, and he said something along the lines of, well, when something like this happens, halfway around the world, that's one thing, but to have it happen here at home, I mean, that's a very sobering thing. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I absolutely agree. When something like this happens halfway around the globe, it's one thing, but to have it happen here at home is really a sobering thing. That was what I said. And it sounded so lovely, of course, because it was planted in my head by the news reporter that I was sure they were going to put it on. And thank goodness it didn't make the news. Whew. But that's what happened.
That's great.
That's what happened.
It's funny because I thought you were going to resist, and he was very literally he was telling you exactly what he wanted you to say. It was loaded for you.
Yeah, that's pretty much his puppet. I mean, just basically picture a 6'8" Homer Simpson in a hoodie and a backwards baseball cap.
Right.
That's me. That was me. I had absolutely no idea what was going on and would have made myself look as dumb as possible. So I figured I'd just say what he told me to say.
That's great.
After I didn't even really agree. I don't know what happened. It all happened so fast that I was really hesitant and basically trying to get out of it any way I could, and somehow still didn't get out of it.
Yeah.
So I should have just told him I'm a social worker and that I'm liberal, or like super liberal, or that I just don't. I don't know. That I don't like the news and that you make people look stupid. Because that's what I was thinking.
Right. But no one ever says that. No one ever says that to them.
Well, they never make it on if they do.
Right. Exactly. That's what it is, right? All right, let's get back to this blog, the real news.
So the blog's pretty cool. Basically, what I'm trying to do is start the conversation for some new people out there that are new to keeping animals. Basically, shedding some light on the fact that what's popular in the pet trade is not popular because they're good pets.
Right.
They're popular because they're easy to breed in large numbers. And this is something that I've talked about on the Pondcast before. This is something that I, take really seriously and feel is an important message that needs to be out there, and yet it's not out there at all. So if that's the void that the Turtle Room needs to fill, and a situation that the Turtle Room needs to help with, then that's what we're going to do. So, we're constantly involved in as much as we can. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask why is it strictly because of greedy breeders that these things are popular? Why is it that it's not talked about?
No, I mean, it's not greedy. I mean, 10 years ago, all I wanted to do was breed turtles and be able to turn a profit. I probably chose not to do that because, again, something else I've talked about a million times, I live up north, and it's very difficult to do that, which is why it's so amazing what Chris Leone does. But I think that, so I don't think it's necessarily greed. If people want to keep buying them, there's no law against it, and you don't know if someone's going to take care of the animal or not. And that's something you have to come to grips with if you're going to be a breeder/dealer. If you're going to breed if you're going to sell your animals, then that's something you have to come to grips with. That you can even give it to someone who you trust, and they can all end up dead, or even worse, suffer.
Right.
So that's all we're trying to do here, is just kind of shed some light on this subject. We were vending with Chris Leone at Hamburg again. April 26th, and
25th.
He has
first time.
sulcatas for $65, and then he has marginated and Ibera Greek tortoises, which are like awesome pet tortoises, especially for up north, for $80. And the sulcatas sell like hotcakes. They're sulcatas. What are you doing? I understand they're cute, but I just don't understand the thought process for people who obviously live in the north. This is a Pennsylvania reptile show, and Chris is great. He doesn't mind. We're there to educate people before they buy. So, both of these are both species, the sulcatas and I should say the tortoises of the testudo genus, the marginateds and the Greeks and everything. They're great tortoises on both sides, but we try to educate them. This is going to get really large. They need more heat. They just need a lot more, and
Right.
you're just setting yourself up for either failure or for having to drop the tortoise on on someone else when it's 10, 12, 18 inches and
Right.
and growing and hopefully not deformed. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's pretty cut and dry, pretty basic stuff, but you'd be surprised how many people don't visit that within their first however many years in the hobby.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it ties into directly to what we're going to be talking about too. Is that part of the reason, like you said, is because they're the cuter, the cuter species. Like people are attracted to the cuter species for anything, whether it's to be, to look at or to own, obviously like that. So that that gets people, and but it doesn't make the most sense. It's not the reason. Like it's based on entirely on how we're choosing to view this animal. It's not about what's best for the animal or what is best for you, what works more for you. And I think it's just because of lack of knowledge. I don't think it's because it's not malicious, but
all of them are great.
Right.
People don't know that there's a better alternative. They don't. The people who are buying the sulcatas, they can't tell you what a Hermann's tortoise, what a Ibero-Greek tortoise is, what a marginated tortoise is, and that's the issue.
Right.
Most of the people, when we pull them over to the other side of the table and say, hey, just come and look over here. Here's why you should consider spending $15 more on the animal, because you're going to save yourself so much trouble down the line. You're going to have an animal that's perfect.
You're not going to have to buy a dog house to put the turtles in later.
Yeah. You're not going to have to surrender them to a rescue when they're
or do this.
When they're too big.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Even worse. Yeah.
This is a pond here in Lancaster County. It's been around for a while. All right, let me see if I can. Here's my zoom in. If we zoom in, hey, look what's sitting there with the eastern painted turtles.
Right.
1, 2, 3 of those, and 1, 2, 3 eastern painted turtles. There's the third one.
Yeah.
So we got these big mama red-eared sliders. There's even a little male here, so I'm sure there's little baby red-eared sliders swimming around somewhere. This guy here almost looks like he's got a little bit of cooter and red-eared slider in there, with the way the face is shaped there, but probably not. But then there's this guy. Or should I say this lady? This does not belong in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Neither do red-ear sliders.
Neither do red-ear
sliders. They're native to the southeast U.S. This turtle, we think, may be a Moremys rivulata, which is native to Eastern Europe.
So it's got to be a released pet.
Yeah, no doubt. Just like the red ears.
Right.
And so here
so everyone knows, it's 100% Moremys. It's the genus Moremys, so it's definitely
a European or Asian species.
Right. And it really, Steve, it really doesn't look like one of the Asian.
No,
the shape of that
the stripes on the neck, the way they are, have me leaning rivulata, even though it's a little more domed than most of them tend to be. But either way, so this is a pond here in Pennsylvania, and we've got stuff that's so out of place thanks to, hey, it's cheap pet.
Right.
Steve, I think that's so cool. I would pee my pants if I got a photo of a Moremys
basking in the wild.
Turtle from, as the newscaster said, halfway across the globe.
Yeah.
But when you see them right here, it's really sober.
We're getting invaded from everywhere. ISIS is invading. The Moremys are invading. God, what do we do?
What are the chances that ISIS put that turtle there?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it is weird to see out of context like that, just to see an animal that doesn't belong. But that's the thing. That's the thing with turtles, especially, that no one, the layperson doesn't know what belongs and what doesn't, for sure. About any species. If you could pick out a bird that didn't, that wasn't natural, native to your habitat, but was like, flying around out your feeder, would either of you know what one doesn't?
Yeah. No.
Right. I mean, if it's like a finch, like you know what type of finch, and I mean stuff like that. I think that's not gonna fly. I think.
Right.
So actually, to get right into what we're talking about, and now is the perfect time. But we a couple of us watched after the last episode, which I think I think we got a lot of positive feedback from, right, Steve?
Yeah. People really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think it was a good episode, definitely. But we were talking about these important questions to the future, and how we're going to place our resources to continue that to ensure that the most amount of species can keep living. A interesting thing happened. So then I watched this TED talk and I gave it to the other guys, and they so we kind of want to just talk about that, the idea behind it. You think I should just give a quick summary, or how? Yeah. Okay. So quick summary. So the guy's point was he talks about the famous story of the creation of the teddy bear, which is real quickly, and I actually just read about this. I'm reading a biography about Teddy Roosevelt right now. Big fan of Teddy Roosevelt. He was out hunting. He was out for like 2 days. He's looking for bears. He was trying to like relax and get away from the political sphere of Washington. So he was in Georgia. He was hunting. Actually, maybe he was in Mississippi. Whatever. He was hunting. Couldn't find anything for a few days. Finally, he goes back to this camp. He relaxes, and then the guy that he was with finds one, beats it over the head with his gun, and ties it up to a tree. Then he goes and gets Teddy Roosevelt so that he can come and shoot it and have the honor of being the one who successfully hunted this bear. And then Teddy gets there, sees that the animal is like defenseless. It's dazed because it just got hit. It's kind of like mangy, and he decides not. He has, for whatever reason, he has. There we go. We have a picture of the TED Talk if you want to check it out. He has a picture of the teddy bear, and he sees it. He has compassion of it. He doesn't have a picture of it, of course. That's on the screen. He has compassion on the teddy bear. Can't shoot it. It turns into this incredible thing. They make plush toys that are what we now know today, of course, as teddy bears. And it turns into this huge thing that changed the way that we perceived all bear species. This was a black bear. Also, this is a black bear. Shout out to the black bears. This black bear species. There's a nice one gobbling down looks like a salmon. Before this encounter, they were basically the symbol for the danger of the frontier and like why you can't be safe in America is because bears will just come and eat your things. And then your things being like your possessions and your legs and your children. If that, for some reason, he hadn't had compassion on that and he had shot that bear, there's a very good chance that they would be gone now. They would be like buffalo, like that we would just have hunted them out. We were in the process of hunting them to extinction intentionally. So Teddy Roosevelt changed, he flipped the script on bears. He did this, and all of a sudden they were cute and they were, cuddly. They were in your kids' cribs. It's a major change, and now we still have bears because of it. So he then goes on, and there's a lot to talk about, and I think that was the basic. That really got us, Tony and myself, and thinking. Ben, did you get to watch it?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We want to introduce anyway. This is our guest, Ben. He's member of the Turtle Room, and we're just going to kind of push you into the conversation for right now. Okay, is that cool?
Sure.
So the idea really is how does the way that we view any wildlife species affect that species, and affect the way that we handle conservation and the way that we handle the way that they're living. So it's just really. It was very thought-provoking for me. I got going, so I thought it would be a good thing to talk about. Tony, what was? I know you'd said you did get a chance to watch the video in full. What did I miss, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I'm angry with you because I really didn't have any room in my life for any more man crushes.
Right.
But
TR.
This is a new one. This is a new one.
Wait, you mean the guy or Teddy Roosevelt?
No, not Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
John. Well, obviously, I'm not crushing on him that
Muallim.
much yet. He's Mua. I'm
Muallim.
not sure if the double L is a y sound.
Muallim. I don't know.
Anyway, he's lovely, and I thought what was so cool about what he does is that he backs everything up with science,
Right.
and some of the science is really interesting to us and what we do. One of the studies that they did is they put a fake snake and they put a fake turtle on the side of the road for different studies, and a large majority of people will hit the snake, and much less will hit the turtle.
Right.
And there's a certain percentage of each that reported that they hit the animal on purpose, which I thought is probably a skewed number anyway, because most people who did so probably wouldn't say that they did so on purpose. Not everyone's as dumb as Blake Shelton to run over turtles and brag about it afterwards. But I thought it was such a cool thing, and some of that stuff is just really cool to see backed up by the science, by the statistics, and by
Right.
the one part I really liked too was that if you live in upstate New York and you watch more television, then you're going to be far less likely to, or far more scared to go out to leave your house.
Right.
Which makes total sense, and who knows which came first, the chicken or the egg? Or no, not that you're going to be scared to leave your house, that you're going to be scared to get attacked by a black bear. That was why it was so interesting.
Right. Well, that's what we have these cultural cues that have been planted in us that to think of snakes, and that may be cultural, like worldwide. I don't know if that's a specific culture, but like we vilify snakes. We always have. I think that's the good thing. That's the interesting part about turtles is I think that turtles have pretty much one of the better reps. I mean, what animal is cooler than Michelangelo and Leonardo? Like that's pretty much.
Can you pull up the thing from our Facebook page with the Enomensis that was the European zoo that did the installment of the Enomensis in the kitchen? This is what I thought of, John.
Oh,
and I think you're gonna appreciate this. So basically, the zoo made the enclosure to look like a kitchen, like a soup kitchen, because the turtles have been hunted to being extinct in the wild a few years ago, before some reintroductions, as far as I know. People dispute that and everything, but I've talked about this species before on Pondcast. But and here it is right now. So this is the zoo enclosure that's meant to look like a kitchen. Yeah. And the point I actually kind of like it. At first I'm like, oh, that's kind of stupid, but then really when you think about what it's supposed to symbolize, it's kind of what we're talking about here, because here is a species. Now, even though the turtles have a good rep, and they're seen as cuddly and cute, and there are a million plush toys that you can get for your kids that are turtles, but here is a reputation as a delicacy that then spells death. So again, what we humans see an animal as either will protect it for as long as we're here, or will spell or will mean its demise one way or another.
Right.
So this is a different way. Now they're not feared like snakes, but they will go extinct because instead of we love them, and which will make them go extinct, but we love them in a very selfish way.
Right. Well, I mean, so I guess the question is, and this was one of the kind of thought experiments that I wanted to kind of go down the road I wanted to go down was what, let's come up with some ideas or some things that we can do to improve, to improve upon the view. What's something cool that could, you know what I mean? Like we have to think like marketers here, because this is how it works. Like this is the big leagues. Like how do we get turtles to have a better vision? We can't have the shooting them, tie them against the tree and not shoot them. That doesn't work because that's already been done.
It's such an uphill battle, and it's just like the guy John said on the TED Talk. We're spending money on drones to watch species, and we're doing all sorts of different things to try to save species, whichever species we feel deserve it. We've talked about it before. Which species do you choose to save? There is a species that I know Ben is very interested in because I want to get Ben into the conversation.
Yeah.
The Forsten's tortoise, which, for whatever reason, no one seems to here in the hobby or in the trade or what have you. No one seems to be interested. Everyone will fall over backwards trying to get the radiated tortoise on their CBW, or we'll still spend $2,000 for a young radiated tortoise when, and don't get me wrong, we all love radiated tortoises too, but why not the Forsten tortoise? They're really awesome tortoise. We've talked about them tons of times on the podcast.
So Ben, then why not? What's the answer to that? Why isn't the Forsten's tortoise sexier?
They're just not flashy. That's it.
Right.
They don't look like a radiated tortoise. I think if they did, it'd be a different story. Look at the Pegasus as well. People look into those. So this should be an easy one then. So this is like a Cinderella ugly duckling thing. How do we get the people to think that they're pretty? We gotta. I think off the top of my head, I think we gotta start dressing them up. We have to put them in clothes. They're unique.
It's
for starters. I mean,
right.
I really don't know how to convince folks to work with the Forsten's tortoise. Really, just don't know how right now.
Well, what's your selling points? If you say you're trying, I've never worked with them. I know very little. Sell me. Why Forsten's tortoise?
Oh, because they don't get too large. They're critically endangered.
That's a big selling point. People love critically endangered. They hear that and they go crazy.
But I've noticed with the Forsten eyes, they're critically endangered. Most folks are interested in obtaining wild-collected adults to breed them and sell the offspring, not so much to conserve the species, to hold F1 animals, known animals for the long term. The fecundity is pretty low on them, and they don't get along with other tortoises. They don't like cold weather, and those are some downsides, I think.
So it's another. What's their native range?
Northern peninsula of Sulawesi, and also in the central portion of the island as well.
Right. Okay.
That's the fourth largest island in Indonesia.
Give me a couple seconds here. We'll get it up on the map for everybody.
Oh, nice.
I'd also like to get a photo up, Steve, if you can, that Ben has shown. This might be difficult, but of a photo of a hatchling Forsten eye, because it's not like we're talking about an ugly animal. As compared to a sulcata, in my eyes, they're kind of cool. They have a serrate.
Sulcatas are plain. I don't understand why everyone loves sulcatas. They're pretty, but compared to a star or a radiated, or leopard. Leopards are much nicer. I mean,
All right, here we go.
Get it.
I think
right here,
Sulawesi
Tenga.
So circular.
You can see Sulawesi Tenga right here is one of the areas that they're native to. And then Interspersed Forsteni is also here on Gorontalo. And then these are provinces in Indonesia. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's these two provinces.
Yep. Okay.
Right there, Sulawesi Tenga. So, in fact, the area here in orange, right around my cursor, area in orange is their native country or province range. And they're, it's not like they even cover the entire orange portion there. That's just kind of their limits.
Right. Okay. So they're extremely tropical then.
Yeah.
Right. So okay.
And forest tropical too.
Right. Well, do you think that? That has an effect on us, obviously, because we live in the Northeast, so it's cold. But does that have a major effect, generally speaking, of tropical versus non-tropical? Does that have anything to do with our perception, where they're coming from, or maybe not even just Forstens, but other animals? Does geography matter to us?
I don't think so. I think just appearance is the main thing. Appearance and what are hatchlings worth? What's the market?
Right.
So.
Okay, so we need to get them dressed. Hannah, can you start sewing some Forsten's tortoise dresses for me? We're gonna get. I think this is the idea. We gotta get like a Miley Cyrus Forstons tortoise outfit,
Okay.
like something interesting like that. I think that's where we go with this.
All right.
Hit everybody like a wrecking ball.
We should totally do a Wrecking Ball remake with Forstons tortoises. Right. That would be tremendous. That's it. That's it. There's
a wrecking ball.
That's the big idea. That looks like a sleeping ball. It is pretty though. Oh, see, and that's really
look at the babies.
Yeah, that's
how cool are those? You see the serrated marginals? How they're sharp like that or on the edge? That's really cool.
Yeah.
And there's the question you asked Ben about if the geography as far as like where the animals are coming from matters when we're trying to take them here and get them established. It does. I mean, I think there's so many different factors that go into it though, because if that mattered, then there wouldn't be so many redfoots up here. But really, the redfoots have been imported in large numbers and people have had success breeding them, so they're kind of just all over the place now, and cheap as well. And price matters. The husbandry necessary
are the things that matter the most.
Probably, yeah, because that's what people are thinking when they don't know, and they're at Chris Leone's table and they see the sulcata next to the Ibera Greek, and there's only a $15 difference. Well, I can save $15, so that means I can get Missouri, and I can get the latest issue of the tortoise, and leave with my animal and those two things instead of just the animal.
Right. Those were cool too. The video, we posted a video of the turtles that were at Hamburg this weekend on the Turtle Room on the YouTube page, and there's you see a lot of these animals, a lot of the stuff that were at Chris Leone's table, and that's one of the Ibera Greeks. Like that was one that I've never seen before personally, and I thought they looked really cool.
They're awesome. They get a little bigger than most Greeks, which means still small.
Right.
And they can really handle cold temperatures. Why would Why wouldn't you?
Right.
And then the Forstons tortoises. I mean, come on, man. Now they don't handle the cold as well, but
right. That one's not less practical for someone buying at in Pennsylvania, but it's probably for the larger world that makes more sense.
Well, they don't get so large, so it's not that difficult to maintain them indoors in a heated room.
Right.
How big do they get specifically? Give me a carapace size.
I think 10 inches straight carapace line for a big one.
Okay.
8 to 9, kind of on average. I have some really large adults and I have some small adults too. Just kind of varies from individual.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know, Ben actually started the stud book for that species. And the stud book is something that's used by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums here in America to kind of keep track of the numbers of a certain species and maintain health of the overall population. And he started that. So this. We say that he knows his stuff about the species. He really knows his stuff. So I just wanted to say that. Absolutely, anytime.
We have some stuff to a little more to kind of get back that was on that thought that we were having. But I actually have a quick thing that I'd like to ask of you, Ben.
Yeah.
This has been bugging me since we've started. We've done a couple of these group Skype sessions, so I've seen before. But I want to know what is on your wall. Can you describe those things to me? The things behind you. They're so cool looking, but I don't know what they are.
A mirror, and then
oh, that's a mirror? Damn it! I thought it was like a painting.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, the painting moves. It's just a mirror.
Mind the boxes. I guess this is. Can you see it?
Nice.
Zoo Rendezvous. Founded at a thrift store.
That's really cool.
And the Memphis Zoo has a Zoo Rendezvous every year. And every year they, do some artwork of an animal made out of food.
Why food?
And that's their yearly poster. And I found that one at the thrift store of a Komodo dragon.
That's so great.
2001. So... I bought it.
Perfect.
It's the $4 I spent, I guess, on room decor.
You got it for $4?
I think something like that.
Oh
yeah.
my God. That's what I'm. I mean, I'm embarrassed. I need to really get some good animal-based wall decor. The only thing I have is we have a whale on our shower curtain. That's new. But
We're not impressed.
No, I know it's terrible. And so is that then a stuffed monitor up there also, or what's the?
It's kind of a metal salamander, monitor, lizard kind of thing.
Sculpture? That's awesome.
Yeah, picked it up at the Ross store around here, I think, for $10 years ago.
So you have $14 and the best wall in America.
Thank you. That's about the only one, though. Everything else is bare for now.
Oh,
Okay.
so good.
All right, so that was I'm glad that's been really. I needed to get that. I needed to know that. So
Okay.
actually,
yeah,
also
while
we're in the middle too, let me bring up. I wanted to mention our sponsor, Omni Reptiles. They were our sponsor a couple of weeks ago, but we just wanted to make sure that we gave them another shout out. Do we have a website for them or no? Steve, you're on mute. Steve's on mute. Look at his face. You're on mute, Steve. There it is.
OmniReptiles.com. It's okay. I was coughing, so it's a good thing.
Okay, so OmniReptiles.com. Check it out.
Here,
That's
I
our
can present
sponsor
that
today.
here. OmniReptiles.com. Presenting to everyone.
Yep.
It's actually a decent website. They've got lots of different stuff.
This website actually
Lizard.
doesn't stink. It's great.
Yeah, it's they have a nice site. Lizards, bearded dragons, chameleons, geckos, iguanids, miscellaneous lizards, monogers, tegus, stings, sciuromastacus, snakes, ball pythons, and more boas, constrictors, colubrids, miscellaneous snakes, pythons, turtles, tortoises, salamanders, newts, frogs, toads, tarantulas, and scorpions.
Okay, so they got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence the name Omni Reptiles.
Oh, right. Yes, like omnipresent.
From the Latin.
Omnivore, yeah. Omnii. That's the Latin.
Oh.
I think. I mean, I haven't brushed up lately, but and I wanted to also. I thought of this. I'm going to run this by you guys. I think that one of the things that we're missing is a name. It's kind of a cliche, hacky thing, but we need a name for our fans, the people that tune in every week. And I think I came up with one. Have you guys thought about this yet?
Tadpoles?
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. That's exactly that. That's the down the road. I just went a little bit further down the road. I'm going with the pond scum. You pond scum, tune in. I think that. I don't know. What do we think?
I don't know that that's going to be the endearing term we're looking for.
Well, I don't like our fans, so that's why I said that.
When you've got 3.5 fans,
Yeah.
you might want to be nice to them.
I meant to say I don't like our fan. It's just the one, right? So
You know who you are.
thanks for watching, bud. The finishing part of the TED Talk I thought was he kind of took it a different direction. And this is again just another kind of quick prompt or thing I wanted to hear, Tony, what you thought. He talked about conservation-reliant species and how we've gotten to a point where there's so many species, and this plays right. I mean, Forson's being a perfect example, and a lot of the other critically endangered animals. These things, because of our views and the way that we have shaped, our planet, there's a lot of these species that are only living because we're kind of propping up and rigging their environment in their favor. Mm-hmm. I think that's obviously very very sad. That thought that he had at the end really hit me, and definitely again encourage everybody to watch it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if I have a point to make on that. I just thought that was really poignant, and I wanted to mention it. I mean, did that hit you like it hit me, Tom?
Well, that's a sad thing, and we'll give Ben a chance to chime in on this too, because he's got the years of experience in the zoos.
Yeah.
But I think, that point is a really sad one, because no matter what we do, there are animals that won't be able to exist in the wild because of us.
Right.
And It's just the way it is. So you can make laws. Laws just make, the really tough to get species more desirable and raises the price tag up.
Right.
For the people who are willing to break the laws anyway, they can get double the amount of money when they break the laws. So it's really the enforcement that needs to step up. And I think, but the conservationist inside of me, which is a pretty loud voice for me, sees the value in like what's happening right now in South America with those few frog and toad species that they're keeping alive in captivity because that disease came through and wiped out the population of a few of the species there. Like that to me is a very important project to be a part of. As important in my mind, and this is my own little mind, so feel free to disagree with me if you want, but I think it's as important as conserving animals in the wild whose population is dwindling. I know that's kind of a touchy thing to say, but it's kind of what's that guy's name? Richard August, the guy from The Chance of the World Changing, that we're on this downward spiral right now, and we're pretty much going to wipe out everything. So I think we should try to save whatever needs it when that opportunity comes, because and when the opportunity really comes, because we can't save it all. So I think you need to choose based on need at that moment and try to act on it. That's my thought anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important. Definitely sad. But I mean, Ben, do you have? Obviously, you didn't get the chance to see, but I mean, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, it seems that all a species needs is somebody that's gonna speak up for it,
champion it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really it. That's what I've seen with the different zoos in my time at zoos, is it depends on what a particular curator is interested in, really, and what they're willing to put forth the resources and time to do.
Right.
At the Memphis Zoo here, they were really into saving the Mississippi gopher frog, Rhinocerosa, which only exists in, I think, 3 vernal pools or something in north or middle Mississippi. So they kind of spearheaded that because it was local, which is great. I think that's kind of an important thing, is to kind of act locally first. What's around you, and I guess Anthony and Steve, you guys have a lot of pretty important turtles around you guys with the clemmies and glyptemies and what have you. So, it's local. That's where it's going to start. You raise awareness.
Right.
Whomever you can.
Right. Lancaster County, right here at headquarters, so to speak, has one of the largest remaining populations of bog turtles anywhere. There's one major preserve and another one being created right now. So, people are doing there's a lot happening here to help preserve them too.
And that's an interesting species that I was thinking of too, as obviously it's overlooked because of, I don't know exactly why, because of its size and because of it's so rare. So I guess people don't see them a lot. Like a lot of people, I think, don't, layperson, people don't know what a bog turtle is or why it matters.
People in the hobby who don't live in Florida or Texas or California, where somebody's breeding them, don't want to talk about them either for fear that somebody thinks they're going to go out into the wild and try to catch some bog turtles because they live near them or something. And it's like,
well, that's
the only thing I'd ever want to do is help keep them in the wild.
Right. So I feel like we need to identify one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a bog turtle. How about, is that I think Donatello's, he's a boggy guy.
They're too big.
That's back to my early point though, that for the telling of stories and the way that we've dealt with that in the past, turtles, I mean, they couldn't have anything cooler than a Teenage Mutant Ninja version of themselves. Pretty much anything that was a Teenage Mutant Ninja. I mean, you could have Teenage Mutant Ninja rattlesnakes and anything, and that would have been really cool. So I think Turtles lucked out on that count. But bog turtles, though, very sad.
Yeah, but there's a big concern about localities being, known and the animals being removed.
Right.
That's a huge, realistic concern.
Yeah, anytime they talk about any of the preserves in the newspaper or anything, it's in such and such a township. And so, there's nothing close to any kind of location given at all. It's just kind of a general, vicinity. So people can't go cause problems because they are in such dire straits.
Well, that's happened. I can't recall the article, of course, but with the North American wood turtle, where a population study was presented, and then the population dwindled within a couple of years because the location was known.
Yeah,
and
it's so sad.
Went out and collected them.
So this is that's we can work with that too, though. So let's get a new logo going. I have an idea. It's coming off the top of my head right now.
Already?
Here we go. It should be a guy in a lawn chair with one of those flashlight headbands and a shotgun sitting next to one of these vernal pools. That could be.
Stay off my lawn?
Yeah, well, exactly. We'll go for the crotchety old guy vibe, maybe, and then all of a sudden we have something for the general public to talk about with bog turtles.
It's actually not a bad idea.
It's right. That's not a terrible idea. You thought that was going to be dumb.
Not necessarily a logo, but we could
bad.
use that as a campaign art.
Well, yeah, not like a logo, like a Smokey the Bear thing, like the personality behind the turtle room, a mascot.
Okay, our mascot. Okay,
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm willing to pose for pictures if we want to do that.
You need to put
Throwing it out there.
it underneath the lawn chair, though.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Like he doesn't even know it's right there.
My wife is throwing things at me right now. I'm so sorry.
Why?
Don't. She's picked up a box turtle shell to throw at me, and she threw 4 things at me. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, I'm blushing. Whew, I can feel it.
It's okay.
Woo!
Work through it.
Do we need to mute your camera, Anthony, while you withstand the barrage?
Remember Lamaze.
She just broke a mud turtle shell that she threw at me.
Why is
She's not mad at me. This is her joking.
Breaking
Oh
yourself?
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just
terrible.
she broke a mud turtle shell. It's broken.
I
Like my
can
heart.
glue it.
Yeah, just glue it right back together. Have her do it.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to do.
It's okay. No, you've totally derailed the podcast, but don't be embarrassed though.
I didn't derail anything. Sorry. Where were we?
Bog turtles.
That was good.
Bog turtles, yeah. So again, I think bog turtles, as much with any of these other critically endangered species, if we can, is there a way to rebrand them? Can we rebrand them? Does that make sense? Is it even worth it to try?
Well, I don't know if bog turtles need rebranded. It's a holy grail of turtles.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, play that up though. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking in my specific perspective, but I feel like enough people don't know about them.
The issue is protecting them in the wild.
Right.
So that's bigger than rebranding. That's.
But I'm saying, so you're missing. By rebranding or by having some sort of public display to gain consciousness, that can help that, because then the more people that know about it and have it, it's on the attention is on them. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think anyone, the Teddy Roosevelt thing, like, that only happened because the toy got really big.
I understand, but listen, we're comparing apples to oranges, because a grizzly bear, a polar bear, a black bear is completely different than a bog turtle, because the issue, or even a snake. Because the issue is that the bog turtle is not being hunted to extinction because people are scared of it, that it's going to come and eat their children, or that everyone's going to get salmonella from living in the same neighborhood. The issue is that they're worth a lot of money,
Right.
and until you can change the fact that they're worth a lot of money, which you can't, or until you can pay for enforcement where people feel like it's not worth it anymore to commit wildlife crimes, then they're going to continue to be exploited, and you have to continue, and the population will never grow.
What's the private breeding situation with them? None? Very little?
Nothing.
Very few that talk about it.
Private people don't talk about it, and some of the zoos and aquariums won't even talk about it, but Knoxville's doing good work with them.
See, I think this is cool. Maybe I am wrong. This is like really cool. There's like mystery surrounding it. People don't talk about it. Like that makes it really cool.
Well, and Knoxville had a good program going, but then some disease wiped out a number of their founder animals.
Sucks.
Now, granted, they had released so many offspring from those founders back into protected habitats that they really weren't going to be able to release anymore because, they would have been overwhelming, the genetics of, the area with one particular, with just a couple bloodlines. So, I mean, it still stinks that it happened, but at the same time, it's, at least they pretty much had exhausted what they could have done in the area they had come from as far as getting their offspring back into the wild. But you never want to see, founder animals have that happen to them.
Right.
And John, these are listed on the Federal Endangered Species Act, which limits interstate trade, and they also don't give.
Can we get a picture of one?
They don't give permits for any American native species that are on the ESA, so that's why people don't work with them.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, it's very mysterious. It's all very mysterious. I think that's cool.
I remember back in the 90s, Don Hamper used to have babies at the Aloha reptile shows every few months, $1,200. Back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it seems like since then they've really just kind of disappeared. People don't talk about them anymore.
I think this is a really interesting story. I think we got to tell it. That's what it is, or someone's got to tell it. That's my conclusion here. I think it's
good
so
luck
cool.
finding the info to tell.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it has. This is like. But that's when the good movies. That's those ones where they no one has the information, and then they dig deep and they find it. We got to get They need a hero, like you said. They need a champion.
Here's one of our little friends.
It's really cool.
And actually, one of the coolest parts about this, if you can read that little line down there, the caption under the picture of bog turtle. The turtles were first discovered right here in Lancaster County in the 18th century.
Wow.
That means 1700s, John.
Right.
Yeah, it was actually a pastor who was also a naturalist in his spare time, Reverend Muhlenberg.
Oh,
hence
Muhlenberg. That's a big Pennsylvania name,
Muhlenbergy.
Muhlenbergy, right. I think that's a really good point, and that was actually something else that I wanted to, or an interesting point to go from there that I wanted to talk about, is that you think about this specific species was discovered, like that's a long time ago, considering most of what we knew about American wildlife. I just read Peter Mathiassen's Wildlife in America book, where he kind of goes through the history of, like a lot of the stuff that we knew was hearsay before, 1700, 1600, because there was no one, like the written records that we have were not even here.
Not only that, people couldn't communicate with one another.
Right, exactly.
So you'd have 6 different people discovering the same thing, naming it 6 different things, and then they had to backtrack to figure out, is it all the same thing?
Right.
Is it not?
That shows you how it's not even really tenable, the information. You don't, like a lot of the stuff, that's what it brought me back to, like there's still so much that we don't know. It was just a beautiful way to prove that like, okay, all these, if you ask someone in 1850, if there were tigers, they'd say, yeah, like out west, like people didn't know. They would thought that there was tigers there. Like that was one of the things. They thought that there was, like buffalo existed in Mexico, as far down as Mexico, like the American bison, and it's just not accurate anymore because things change. And like, how do you even find that information out? I saw a Snapple cap today. I had a Snapple lemon iced tea, and the Snapple, this beautiful, one of my favorite beverages, best stuff on earth. What the Snapple cap was it said a polar bear can smell a seal from 20 miles away. Now, how did we find that? Do we give a polar bear the hard questioning? Like how do we figure that out? It's based on one time some guy was watching a seal or watching a polar bear and followed it until it got to a seal. You know what I mean? Like how I'm guessing. How do we have like this? The information is so minuscule. I don't know. I feel like there's so much that we don't know, especially about behavior. And turtles, especially bog turtles, they're underwater 90% of the time. You know, they don't. What do we really know? Yeah. Right. Like how do we know what they're doing down there?
We don't.
Right. It's cool. It's mysterious. There's still some mystery.
Well, and they're so tiny and mysterious that sometimes I wonder if somebody's just gonna all of a sudden stumble on a whole bunch of extra ones of them that nobody ever. Because they are so secretive, and granted, their habitat has been destroyed for housing and even farming. Like bogs have been turned into farmland here in Lancaster County, and that they're doing that they can't be doing all that well, but because of how mysterious and reclusive and tiny they are, sometimes I just feel like at some point somebody's gonna all of a sudden realize, hey, there were 20 more here than we thought there were.
Right.
I've heard that they're more common than they're led on to be. That's kind of been an argument about them. And another interesting facet about them that, again, I've just heard is that they live not necessarily in a bog, but like in a wet meadow where there's just an inch or two of water. So it's the last stage before a bog turns into a meadow. So that's an issue they've had is the very specific habitat they require.
Right. It's not the bog and it's not the meadow.
Right.
Yeah. And that's that stuff, those wet meadows, it was real easy to just add a little bit of extra soil to those while somebody was moving it from somewhere else, and all of a sudden you had more farmland.
Farmland, right.
And here in Lancaster County, the soil's great for that. This is farm country. And so it was real easy to go, hey, we built a housing development over there. We need more farmland. Let's take the dirt we took out for their basements. Let's put it here, and now we got more farms.
Mm-hmm.
So the other side of the coin is kind of that their environment was, if that's indeed their natural environment, it's so precarious that it's kind of a poor evolutionary niche to be only able to exist in 2 inches of water in a meadow. Like that's unfortunate and that sucks. But like, we're never going to be able to replicate that enough to keep the species going, right?
Don't say how.
Yeah, I mean that's unless I have a wet dry vac that carries 2 gallons at a time. I think you can put it on reverse so it'll shoot the water out. We'll have to bring a bunch of those out to the meadows that we know. I don't know how practical that is.
Another problem they're facing is invasive plants that suck up the water too, and destroy the habitat too. So I guess when you're doing your landscaping, don't plant invasive plants.
Right.
Plant natives.
Right. And again, that's.
I think about that all the time. There's this argument all the time about invasive species and everything. How are we allowed to purchase as many invasive plants as we do? It's amazing. I mean, go to Lowe's and look at the plants, especially the ones that are sold as house plants too. I mean, a lot of them can't survive here, but I doubt in a lot of the warmer states. I mean, Ben, you could speak to that more because you're in a warmer state, but they're selling house plants that can survive outdoors, no?
They are. I think that's a newer idea, not selling invasive plants. And, it's all coming around, with the conservation of planting native species for the native wildlife, as opposed to
Right.
plants that need lots of water, lots of nutrients, and
Right.
put all these resources into having an unnatural habitat.
Right.
All right, guys. I think this is a good place to end the conversation. We have to wrap up. Ben, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
How great has Ben? How great has Ben? Right?
The best, absolutely the best. Another shout out to Omni Reptiles. Check out their pretty good website, and please also check out the turtleroom.com. That's our website. That's our show. We've been breathing from our butts this whole time. Thanks, Ben, for engaging in that with us.
You're welcome.
So long.
Bye.
Later.